All right, welcome everyone.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you for coming to this session. It's going to be about how you can develop hope as a character strength and how we can use online tools to do this. All right, so actually, you will get to participate in a brief intervention if you are interested in doing that. Who does not have a smartphone or a tablet? Okay, great. I'll share some information about myself first. My name is Wandeler. I work at the School of Education. I teach statistics and research methods. Right? So some of you might come back to or you're already in the master's program or maybe in a doctoral program. So that might be a way that we cross paths again in the future. What you see here is a picture of my hometown. And if you hear my accent, what would you guess? Where am I from? Swiss. Oh, you know that. You guys have good eyes, right? Yeah. This is the town called Freiburg, right? There's a French name and a German name. And the reason is it's right on the border between the German and the French-speaking part of Switzerland. So in this city, both people speak both languages. And actually, in this old neighborhood here, there is a language called Bolz, which is a mix between German and French. So if you know this, it's hard for other people to understand you if you don't know both languages. This just to give you some information. There's also newer parts of the town, but this is where the tourists go. So this is the one I'll show you guys. All right. So what will we work on together today? We'll talk about what hope is. We'll talk about why you should care about it and what teachers and schools can do to promote hope and improve the future of people using online technology. Okay? But before we do that, I would like you to just turn to the person next to you and tell them why did you decide to participate in this workshop and what is a goal that you're working on right now. So 1 minute. Why are you here in this workshop and what's the goal? All right, great. What are some of the goals that you're working on right now? Who's got a goal they are willing to share?
So I'm trying to improve classroom management.
Classroom management improvement, great.
So I think this is a great approach or a starting approach to how to do that.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Become an elementary school teacher.
Become an elementary school teacher, yeah, great. Foster a community of learning. Great. Right? So some of these goals are more tangible. Others is more of a process. It seems like, right? It's more something that you're going to work on over time, right? But if you think of it, pretty much anything that we humans do can be formulated as a goal. Right? And once you kind of start thinking about it that way, it's it helps us clarify some of our thinking. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is pull out your smartphone and use a browser. It doesn't really matter which browser you prefer. And if you could go to this link, this will take you to the online survey. All right, is everyone ready for the video?
Yes.
All right.
The purpose of this video is to help you reach the future that you desire. You will learn some key insights from research in positive psychology that will help you overcome obstacles and develop your full potential. The psychologist Professor Rick Snyder developed hope theory and stated that hope consists of 3 components: goals, pathways, and agency. He discovered that hopeful people develop many pathways to reach their goals because they anticipate obstacles and don't expect things to be easy. They have high levels of agency. That means they persist and sustain their motivation to move towards their goals. They're energized and come up with new and different plans to overcome obstacles.
All right, please proceed and fill out the questions right below the video. And then when you go to the next page, just wait for us to look at the next video again. Please go to the next page and we'll watch this video together here.
Okay, let's get started. Here is how you can use hope theory to make your life better. What is a goal that you want to work on? Make it specific, measurable, and set a deadline so that you know when you reached your goal. Write your goal down. How would you feel if you reached this goal? Make sure it's something that you care about. Write your goal down. How can you measure that you reached it? By when do you want to reach it? How will you feel when you reached it?
All right, please answer the question below this video. Okay, now you should have a goal, right? If you're not quite finished yet, you can finish up. The question now is, how can you develop a pathway to reach your goal?
Let's develop a pathway. How will you reach your goal? Write a pathway down. Often pathways consist of different sub-goals. Hopeful people develop a variety of pathways to be more flexible. Can you think of a different pathway? What is your plan B? What is your plan C? What is your plan D? What is your pathway? What is your plan B?
Please go ahead and answer questions, and then we'll wait for the next video. All right, now you have a pathway, you have a plan B. And now the question is, what are some of these obstacles?
Hopeful people anticipate obstacles, both internal and external. Research by Professor Gabriel Oettingen shows that when people visualize the obstacles and make concrete plans about how to deal with them, they are more likely to reach their goals. This technique is called mental contrasting with implementation intentions. By making concrete plans, we can address our obstacles and gain energy to take action. Sometimes there are ways around obstacles, and sometimes you just need to push through. What are obstacles that may hold you back? Think of ones that are both within you and ones that are external.
All right, please think about obstacles that are in you and outside of you. Okay, did everybody get to the video? All right, great. So I'll just show you guys the video and then we'll have a discussion. And there's a few last questions that I would like you to answer, but so please just wait for now with continuing.
Research has shown that the brain is similar to a muscle. The more you use it, the smarter you become. So struggling can actually mean that you're learning. However, make sure that you're evaluating the pathway you're taking and consider other ways to reach your goals. If you find yourself losing passion or it seems like you exhausted all pathways, you may consider looking for alternative goals, and you can use this process again to increase the chances of reaching your next goal. So now that you have identified a goal and multiple pathways to reach it, what is your next step and when will you take it?
All right, what did you guys think so far? Like, thumbs up? Yeah? It's new? Okay, what did you guys like about it? Like if you think about, you know, for yourself or maybe students, how is this? Yeah.
Really changed the guy's voice. Other than that, it's pretty good.
Right. That guy's got, yeah, terrible accent. Yeah.
I feel it's nice to be able to write it down instead of just telling yourself. So when you write it down, you go back and look at it. Oh, look, I didn't reach this, or like, no, it didn't work. Let's go the other way around.
Yeah. So some value of writing things down. Yeah. Other comments or observations?
The fact that it's broken into small pieces made it easy to kind of focus on one piece at a time.
Right.
So for students especially, chunking that helps them absorb it and
Right.
make it more accessible.
Okay, yeah, great observation. Yeah, and that is actually the goal, right? I'll talk a little bit more about theory, what's behind it, so you guys understand what we're trying to do. But that's really it's a clear process, and you want to guide people through it. And hopefully, once you know it, you can do that over and over again, right? And what did you think of the video, the way it was? Engaging? Okay. I would like to give a shout out to Alex Johnson. He is the gentleman that developed that. So to share with you guys a little bit about the research that's going on with this right now is that we've used this online, right? So we know that we're talking about hope. We know that hope before you do this and afterward, hope tends to go up, right? And now we want to say, okay, what difference does it make if you do it in a setting like this, right, where we also can talk about it, versus you do it alone by yourself and you just kind of do it in your isolated space, right? Because we know that social interaction, social support, right, that's important. That can create a lot of energy as well, a lot of motivation. And in schools, you could leverage this, right? You can do it, helps you structure it, but then you can also use it to talk about it. So what I'd like to do quickly is to just kind of go through the process, right? We talked about goals. Then we talked about pathways. We talked about obstacles. And then we talked about what do you do when these obstacles encounter and what is your next step, right? So I'll get back to that, but just to say, when in hope research, when we talk about hope, this person here is Shane Lopez. He was a hope researcher. He passed away last year. He was still pretty young. But this is how he tended to explain to people how we understand hope. Right? There might be other ways of understanding hope, but how we scientists, we define things, and now once we defined it, right, this is how we work it. And if you think hope is something else, well, let's clarify what you mean by it, but this is what we mean. And hope is a motivating force that moves you from where we are today to where we want to be in the future. Right? If you have hopes or a goal about being a teacher, that's what drives you and kind of creates actions, right? That's the reason why you're here this morning. That might be a reason of what you're going to do Monday or Tuesday, right? It structures a part of our lives, right? And then this guy, actually the founder of Hope Theory, Rick Snyder, he was mentioned in the video. He said, okay, hope is seeing pathways to desired goals and then having a motivation to use those pathways. And when you work with kids, a lot of times this really is a good, at least it helps me to really think very clearly about where a child is at or a youth is at. You can see, okay, why are they not doing something, or what are they struggling with, right? Sometimes they don't have goals. I hear that a lot of times. Oh, they don't, they're not motivated. They don't want to do anything. Right? Then you say, okay, well, what are they doing? Then you find out they're doing some things, right? They might be on Facebook. They might be playing video games. Right? They might be into sports. I mean, usually there's something that people are doing. So it's kind of like, okay, how can you tap into that energy? But the other thing is, well, do they know how to achieve goals, right? Let's say you want to be a teacher. Well, do you know what it takes to be a teacher? And that's where a lot of us in education, where we come in, we provide pathways, we help develop skills, develop tools to reach goals, right? So it's kind of these two things, knowing which way to go, and then also having the energy, the drive to actually walk that path. Then this is important, the difference between hoping and wishing, right? Sometimes we hope the weather's going to be good this weekend, right? We use it that way, but that, I would call that we wish for it, right? Because we don't have, at least that I know of, any power of making the weather nice this weekend, right? So that's the distinction there. And a lot of times, youth, we also wish for stuff, right? Oh, we wish we could win the lotto, or we wished, we were a superstar, right? And you say, okay, nothing is unreasonable, right? But hopeful people know it's hard work. It takes hard work. You're gonna have setbacks, right? That's also what we try to teach people. It takes a lot of effort, and we have to come up with a lot of plans, right? So I think if you can share with, or if we personally or youth can be aware of that, problems are gonna appear. Obstacles are part of it. It's normal, right? And the research shows if you anticipate that, you're more prepared to deal with it once it shows up. You're not surprised, all right? You say, okay, this is part of it. I knew this was eventually gonna happen, so let's deal with it. So the one thing is plans, right? Pathways. The other one is willpower, right? To sustain that energy. And that's where the meaning comes in, the sense of why am I doing this, sense of purpose, right? What's stimulating you? Why do you want to achieve this goal? And then that's really well illustrated in the video, right? When the little cart goes into a wall, and then there's got to be somewhere it can recharge, right? So find out ways of how can I recharge, how can I stay committed, particularly if there's long-term goals, right? If it's an educational goal or you talk to freshmen, I want to graduate from college, it's 4 years away, why should I do my homework? How does my homework today have anything to do with getting that paper at the end of the college? Maybe if you're interested in psychology, there's a related construct. Who's heard of self-efficacy? Yeah, some of you, right? Self-efficacy, pretty similar to hope. Self-efficacy is about the belief that you can do something, right? It's usually very specific, right? You can have a high self-efficacy in math, but then you feel like, oh, I don't know how to write, right? Or maybe you have it both ways. Then you have a general high self-efficacy in terms of schooling. So the difference to hope is a little bit more far-reaching, and hope is, it's maybe I can't do it today, but I will be able to do it, right? So that's where I think it's really powerful. Sometimes with our youth, they're frustrated, I can't do this, I'll never be able to do this, I can't learn it. So that there's a way to communicate with them. Well, that's, it's normal, it's struggling. If you have some difficulties, actually, that just shows that you don't know it yet, right? Then growth mindset, who's heard of that? Right? Yeah, quite a bit of people. So it's related to this as well, right? When you hear people talk about, how do we deal with setbacks? Do we believe that we can change, that we can develop? Right? That's huge, right? Our talents, intelligence is not something fixed. It's something that we can work on. Optimism, the way Shire and Carver have it, is more of a general optimism. The world is going to be fine. Does not necessarily involve me all the time, right? Hope is really that you are involved with it. And the way they see optimism, it's just more, hey, things will work out. Then resilience, right? Problem solving, self-regulation, hardness, all these are concepts of, what makes you overcome difficulties, and how can children, even despite very hard circumstances, how can they still thrive, right? How can they still flourish? So quick summary, why is hope good for us? It's hard to be happy when you're not hopeful, right? If you think tomorrow is going to be worse than today, you're going to be pretty frustrated, right? And we can see that, if you talk to some people, when they think, oh, we're going down the drain here, usually they're pretty frustrated, right? Then research also shows that hopeful people tend to be more productive, and what is interesting is that you see value in doing things today that might not be the funnest, because it will pay off in the future, right? So if you got to decide, well, should I go outside and play or should I do my homework? If you think, well, there's nothing really waiting for me, well, you're going to go play, because that makes sense, right? It's logical. But if you know, hey, I got a future waiting for me, I got jobs, I got a family that might come down the road, or whatever you might see, then making difficult choices right now makes sense, right? Because you know why you do it. And I kind of like this is the future pulls us forward, right? It gives you energy, it gives you drive. You say, hey, yeah, it's going to be great, right? And good leadership does that as well, right? They tell you, hey, the future is going to be fantastic, right? So that being said, let me make it, maybe open it up for your questions. Or your comments?
Is it possible that we can give them false hopes?
False hopes? Yeah. Yeah. That is possible. When it's unrealistic? Yeah, it's a good question, yeah.
Or they're wasting their time with one goal
Yes.
they'll never meet?
Yep, that's a very good question.
That's aggravating.
Huh?
That's aggravating.
That is aggravating, yes. So, yep. So hope theory has that's actually a kind of a difficult topic, where where do you set a goal? Because you want to set the goals as high as you can, right? Without limiting kids. That's why I usually say whatever the kid or youth tells you, or even a person says, we should support that, because who are we to judge where they should set the bar, right? But what research says, hopeful people, they do what's called re-goaling, right? That's after a while, you're like, you know what, this pathway doesn't work, and you know what, maybe NFL football player is not working out after all. That's where those plan Bs come in, right? Where you say, okay, what else can I have that would fulfill some of my purpose, some of my needs? So the idea is kind of like also have other goals and not just one goal. And then nevertheless, right, it's clear that some of our youth and some of us have a lot more barriers in their lives than others, right? I often compare it to a slope, right? Like for me, for example, if life is even, right, for me, life was like this. I had all advantages, right? If you could please show me, what do you feel like? Was your life going upwards or was it more downwards? What do you guys?
What do you mean, in our lives?
Yes, in your personal lives.
Sine wave.
Sine wave, okay, yeah.
It depends on what trauma was happening.
Yeah. All right, so fluctuations, yeah.
Some children's lives are full trauma, and you don't hear counting them out with those comments. What about them that is eating better?
Yeah, so yeah, we don't want to discount barriers that are there, and some things are structural, right? But I would like to share some research with you that kind of ties into this. In these studies, what we found is, or what colleagues found here is that when you try to predict grades, academic outcomes, right? Hope is a better predictor than the IQ, than prior grades, than SAT scores, or than socioeconomic status, right? And when you see stuff like that, and that's why I'm really passionate about developing interventions to promote hope, that's something we can change, right? If you see socioeconomic status, that is harder to change, right? Not saying we shouldn't try to support that as well. But here we have something that we can really help kids to help themselves.
Suggesting?
So the intervention is what you went through. It's probably going to be a little bit more simplified, right? But that's the intervention I would suggest, to look at videos. And then what you can do is do it more interactive. Basically walk, talk about it. Hey, what is a goal? Who has a goal? So what I find is that working in groups on it boosts the hope as well, right? And then sometimes you did to define, okay, what should the goal be, right? That's then negotiable as well. What do you have? What is my goal? And it's really inspiring when they hear other kids' goals.
Okay.
What?
Okay. Not everybody's a carbon copy. Not everybody wants to work in groups. I don't understand this new concept of Cooper learning groups. It works for most.
Yeah, but that's why this really allows for flexibility. You can say you can fill this out yourself. Some students might need more help. Then you can coach them. So this is ideal for whatever preference you have or a child have. Yeah. That's if you think, hey, they should do this at midnight, they can do it at midnight. If they want to do it in the morning, they can do it then, the weekend. And you can do it multiple times, right? It's like a tool that guides you through it. How does this help them? This is something that nobody might ask them, what are your goals, right? So just for teachers to have these, we should have these conversations all the time. What are your goals? What do you want to become, etc. And then from hearing from other kids too, and get more ideas than, there's just NFL or, sports stars and music stars, but there's all these other options that are open to and that are, realistically achievable. The goal research shows that you should have about 10-15% above where you currently are, kind of like those little stretch goals. But then what also helps is to have this larger vision, right? So kind of imagine like, hey, we want to drive to San Francisco. Well, what's the next thing? It's, okay, we've got to find the freeway. That kind of thinking, right? Where hey, why am I doing this? But then have the steps to go that way.
I feel like goals can tie into our objective or, for each lesson that we do. Like, did our students really reach the objective, which is like a goal for that day?
Right.
So, but they might not think of them as goals. Like, okay, well, did you learn this? And if they did, then that's something they accomplished for that day.
Right.
And those are those little goals that they get in order to pass the grade, which is their big goal or something.
Yes,
like that,
exactly. Yeah. So, for example, there's a school, and I know our time is up here, but there's a school in Switzerland that has goals, and their goal is to have every child 10, 20, 30 times a day reach certain goals, right? Well, basically, as a kid, you're constantly, oh, yeah, I did this, great, I did that, great. So you're constantly reaching things, right? And then it might be, you might be at a lower achievement level at this point, but you're still having experience of success, right? You're not expecting everybody to do this, and then half of the kids are like frustrated. So it's, and then what was interesting too as a teacher, right? You could say, hey, I tried this, it didn't work. Well, what's my plan B? Oh, okay. And then what happens if, there's obstacles, admin storing obstacles my way, or parents are coming in, etc.
Dr. Garcia, I just wanted to say too that, your job as a teacher, some kids may come into your room hopeless and have no idea that they even can achieve even the smallest goal. One of your jobs as a teacher is to build their self-esteem, to notice their strengths and weaknesses, to pay attention to them, and then move into this it's fabulous. Formula you developed and the little quiz is great. I mean, it's really good for adults, students, everybody. It just reminds you how important hope is to everyone. And a lot of kids will come to your classroom a lot that are very hopeless. And your job is to give them some hope, one of your main jobs.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.